Hi guys, it's Debbie, and finally I am back to speak about the upcoming Academy Awards, better known as the Oscars. I wanted to create this video a few days ago, but unfortunately I was stuck in bed, crushed by a very persistent cold. So today I would like to take a look at this 90th edition of the Oscars, who I think will win and who I would personally want to win. I've seen nearly all of the films, there are just a couple of them which I still have to catch up on, and I will have seen them by the time the Oscars are handed out. Also, because of the huge number of films and categories to speak about, I will not be able to cover them all in depth as much as I would have liked to, but I will leave in the description box below the links to other videos in which I've reviewed or spoken about all the films. Now, moving on to the nominations, let's do it all completely different from the ceremony. Let's start from the good part, Best Picture. The contenders for Best Film this year are Call Me By Your Name, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, The Post, The Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I've spoken before about Get Out, and I think that it is highly overrated, and I really don't believe it deserves the Oscar. I'll leave the link in the description to my complete video in which I give the complete explanation behind this opinion. But short version, the story is unfortunately very modern. It describes a reality of modern racism under a horror perspective, but the moment in which it is set does not automatically validate it as a good film. I personally believe that the film does not contain much more than what is included in the trailer. We saw everything, every jump scare, every moment, except for the end. I think Get Out could have easily been replaced on this list by All the Money in the World, which I found definitely more engaging and complete. Another film I don't think will make it is Lady Bird. I loved Lady Bird. It was hilarious and heartbreaking at the same time, but compared to films like Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, there is not that element of research, of intensity, of a product that leaves something to the history of cinema. What I'm trying to say is that to get to Best Picture, the Academy usually looks for something bigger. You've got your Schindler's List, your Forrest Gump, your Sound of Music. I don't mean it has to be big in the Titanic, Lord of the Rings sense of big. Even the simplest story can be the most meaningful. Take, for example, Moonlight from last year. But it usually should display a wider variety of features, which some films on the list today definitely have. This being said, I could be completely wrong, and in any case, I still absolutely loved Lady Bird. Another nominee is Call Me By Your Name, but I think this will be more of a big game for the acting categories. Then we have Dunkirk. I am an absolute Nolan fan. I am a raving fan of Dunkirk, but I've unfortunately already said that for how much I would absolutely love to hear this film being called on stage, I think the two big contenders for this year are The Shape of Water and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which I will be quoting many other times today. Out of the two, I personally preferred 3 Billboards. It's more similar to my taste. It reminded me a lot of Prisoners by Denis Villeneuve, and it was a surprisingly intense story. The Shape of Water is not one of my big favourites, but it has all the elements to win. The story, the effect, the acting, the cinematography. It's not a film I personally like, but it's definitely a film that will stand out to the Academy, and I think it could also win for Best Original Screenplay. For Best Actor, instead, we have Timothée Chalamet for Call Me By Your Name, Daniel Day-Lewis, Phantom Thread, Daniel Kaluuya, Get Out, Gary Oldman, Darkest Hour, and Denzel Washington for Roman J. Israel. I think there are huge chances for Gary Oldman in his role as Winston Churchill in Darkest Hour, for which he also won the Golden Globe, and also for young Timothée Chalamet, which didn't particularly surprise me in his small role in Lady Bird, but definitely had me crying with Call Me By Your Name. But a big question comes in here. Where is Andy Serkis for his role as Caesar in War for the Planet of the Apes? His character was so well developed that he had entire cinema theatres crying for an ape in a future dystopian reality. That's how good it was. There could be no other Caesar. It was an emotional journey from beginning to end, and I was quite disappointed in not seeing his name included in the nominees. Instead, for the ladies, we have Sally Hawkins, The Shape of Water, Frances McDormand, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Margot Robbie, I, Tonya, Saoirse Ronan, Lady Bird, Meryl Streep, the poster. I think the winner here will be Frances McDormand as Mildred in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and I would totally agree on her Oscar. She portrayed a very difficult character, very tough one, a main character which many don't love. Most of her thoughts are conveyed through limited dialogue, but rather through carrying out actions, and in general her story and her behaviour was so convincing that we were following Mildred's story. We were not watching somebody else playing Mildred. And again, another question comes in here. Where is Michelle Williams for her role in All the Money in the World? I think she could have easily replaced Saoirse Ronan for Lady Bird. While instead, for supporting actresses, I think Lady Bird could have a win with Laurie Metcalf as the main character's mother. It was a vital role for the entire story, for the plot, and it was an element which could have been game-changing. But Metcalf managed to make us cry. If you were a mother, you probably recognised yourself in her. If you were a daughter, you either felt guilt or you missed your mum. She really managed to convey exactly what the story wanted. The other contenders are Mary J. Blige, Mudbound, Alison Janney, Itonia, Leslie Manville, Phantom Thread, and Octavia Spencer for The Shape of Water, but I definitely think Metcalf has the highest chances. For supporting actor, instead, we have Christopher Plummer's portrayal of Getty in All the Money in the World, and we should also keep into consideration the fact that he had a very, very short period of time to prepare and act out this role, as he was called in to refilm all of Kevin Spacey's scenes. Then we have incredible Woody Harrelson and Sam Rockwell in their roles in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. In particular, I would like to praise Rockwell, which created a very interesting, although detestable, role as a policeman whose personality slowly emerges and develops over the course of the film. I believe both this role and Frances McDormand as Mildred were 2 very tough ones to tackle, but which in the end were perfectly executed. The other nominees are Richard Jenkins for The Shape of Water, although why not Michael Shannon, which also starred in the film with a much more interesting, compelling and complete character, and then Willem Dafoe for The Florida Project. For Best Director instead, we basically have the same names over and over as it's Christopher Nolan for Dunkirk, Jordan Peele for Get Out, Guillermo del Toro for The Shape of Water, Greta Gerwig for Lady Bird, and Paul Thomas Anderson for Phantom Thread. I believe this could be Nolan's big chance. This is his first nomination as director, and with Dunkirk he really proved what it means to be dedicated to a film. Dunkirk, like all of Nolan's films, is meant to last. It has a background of research and of details which goes beyond common commercial filmmaking. It's definitely aiming at wanting to be a masterpiece, a work of art. And I think this will also reflect on the soundtrack category, because out of all the nominees, the only one that really stands out and really drags you into the story, makes you part of it, is Hans Zimmer's music for Dunkirk. I loved 3 Billboards, but I can't figure out even one piece that was included in the film, and same goes for The Shape of Water, which actually won it at the Golden Globes. For Best Cinematography are 2 big contenders, Blade Runner 2049 with Roger Deakins and Dunkirk with Hoyte van Hoytema. I think both managed to convey the mood of the film. In both cases, the mammoth size of the overwhelming reality which is oppressing the characters. In Blade Runner, we have a creepily beautiful dystopian reality made of bioengineering, robots, beams, screens, lights, these huge skyscrapers, while in Dunkirk we have the enemy approaching from all angles and a fight for survival during World War II, seen through 3 different points of view and with a very limited use of digital effects. For visual effects, I finally see War for the Planet of the Apes, and I don't think there's any other winner here. Forget my love for the story, for Caesar, for the plot. The attention to details is just jaw-dropping. Dozens and dozens of apes running around, climbing up trees, riding horses, crying, speaking, cheering, and there's never a detail forgotten, a footstep in the sand, a strand of fur blown in the wrong direction. The other nominees are Blade Runner 2049, Guardians of the Galaxy, The Last Jedi, and Kong Skull Island, which in my opinion just deserves a huge cinema sin for the change in proportions throughout the entire film. I also think that Beauty and the Beast had some pretty impressive effects for the Beast, and I remember appreciating how the creators had maintained maintained all a series of human facial expressions, a detail that could easily be overlooked when trying to impress an audience with a total monster look. You could really tell how there was somebody stuck under that enchantment, and that definitely helped with the story and with the interactions with Belle, which were more seamless and better for the story. But Beauty and the Beast was only nominated for costume design alongside Darkest Hour, Phantom Thread, The Shape of Water and Victoria and Abdul. I've not seen this last film, and in general I can't really make up my mind on the others either because they're all very big contenders. Then what haven't we spoken about? We have film editing with Baby Driver, Dunkirk, I, Tonya, Three Billboards, The Shape of Water. Potentially this could be another win for Dunkirk. It was a very seamless and fluid storytelling, and even while following three different perspectives, three different points of view, we still knew exactly where we are, like our position in time and space throughout the entirety of the film. There are still many other categories, but I either haven't seen all of the nominees in each category, or I haven't gathered enough information to be able to correctly express myself about them. So for now, these are my thoughts surrounding everything Oscars. Chances are everything I said will be completely opposite on the night of the awards. So now let me know your thoughts on these nominees with a comment here below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe for more movie related content, and I'll see you soon. Bye.